everyone, and welcome back to the Wooly Wonka Fibers podcast. I'm Anne, and today is April 11th, 2016. For those of you who are brand new to the podcast, thank you so much for taking the time out to give me a try. This is a podcast about my knitting and spinning, crafty pursuits, and my indie dye business. You can find me on the web at www.woolywonkafiber.com. I also have a Ravelry group under Wooly Wonka Fibers. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as Wooly Wonka Fibers. And if you're looking for my personal project pages, I'm on Ravelry as Bunny Spinner. Welcome back to those folks who've tuned in before. I hope y'all have been having a great week. We woke up to a little bit of rain this morning, not enough, but at least it kind of dampened the dust and the pollen down, so hopefully I'm not quite as snuffly as I normally am. We desperately need the rain here. There's already been 2 fires up in the Jemez Mountains just behind our house. One of which was a downed power line, which is what started the massive Las Conchas fire that burned hundreds of thousands of acres several years ago and was about 1.5 miles from our house. And the other was some stupid idiot left a campfire going and walked away from it. Both of those are out, and hopefully the extra humidity in the air is helping kind of tamp down any other possibilities of that. But we are getting to fire season around here, which if you have not lived out west and realized how fast that fire can move in all the dry scrub when there's, 7% humidity in the air and no rain in sight, it's a scary thing. It's not something I have interest in participating in. Again, with evacuations, although this time we no longer have large animals to try to move, so it's a little bit easier. We could get out much more quickly. Anyway, a few items of note. I am off this coming weekend for my East Coast tour. Again, I'll be at Knit Locally on Friday and Saturday, which is in Boyds, Maryland. And then I will be at Black Sheep Yarn Company Sunday morning. They are in Timonium. I will link to both of those shops again in the show notes. So if you're in the area and have interest in coming out to meet me, the meet and greet at Knit Locally is Friday evening from 4 to 7, and the meet and greet book signing is at Black Sheep on Sunday morning from 10 to 12. And then I've got classes going after both of those, so if you're interested in the Saturday class at Knit Locally, the contact information again will be in the show notes, and the Sunday morning class at Black Sheep, you can also sign up that way. So let's move on to fun and exciting things. I have no finished objects this week. I am just knitting like crazy on projects. I think I talked last week a little bit about some various things that I wanted to get cast on. And I kind of did a little reassessment this week of my deadline knitting versus some fun project knitting. And obviously, since the deadline knitting pays the bills, that goes to the top of the list. So what I'm working on right now, things that are on my needles, I'm working right now on the Spin to Knit shawl project, which is going to be it's a special publication that's published by Interweave / F&W Media as part of their spin-off magazine. It's the same editor, Anne Marrow. So I'm working on that project. It is about half finished. That is my absolute priority. I really would like to have it off the needles by the time I'm back home next Wednesday. And I think I can do that. I've got everything charted. I've got everything plotted out. It's really just getting the sample knit at this point. So I can't show you that since that's kind of a secret knit. The other thing that I talked about last week was a project that I'm doing for my friends Dennis and Jeffrey, who are the yarn guys. And just if you missed last week's podcast, we had dinner at Yarn Fest. They also vended there. And so we got talking about what they wanted for their 5th anniversary. And so thanks to Google, the 5th anniversary is wood. And so it's both their personal 5th anniversary and the shop's 5th anniversary. So I decided that we'd kind of riff off of that concept. And so I asked them what their favorite tree was or what kind of things spoke to them. And so they both chose white birches, which was really fun because we also were able to tie in some things from Celtic Druid mythology. And I think it's going to be a really, really fun project. So I wanted to at least show you guys the yarn that I'm using. This will be available as an exclusive kit for them beginning in mid-May. And it will be on my yarn base, the Nimue sock, which is 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. One of my favorites for shawls because it knits up so great. The 2 colors that I dyed, and I'm experimenting with some new lighting today, guys. It is a little overcast still outside, so I added some lighting, and I'm hoping this will help with some of the colors to read more truly. The main color that I dyed up is a speckle dye, which I'm going to call white birches. It's a very, very pale silver gray. And then it has little tiny pops of dark gray and almost a chestnut in there. Kind of fun. And then the contrast color that I'm using, Dennis specifically asked, because my initial idea was to do a black to accompany all the little speckles that you see in there. But he asked if we could do something that pushed towards green. And so I dyed up this really inky, dark, if you look at it in some lights, it does look black, but it's actually a really, really, really dark green. Ooh, there you go. That's pretty close. It really does read as a black. You can see a little bit of the sort of green highlights poking through there. The nice thing about the silk blend is that with the sheen, it kind of helps with colors that are almost one thing, but not quite the other. So you can see from these 2 that I've just started the main color. I've done a few rows with that, and then this there'll be some more of this together with that, but I've made some good progress. I would say this project is just about at the halfway point. So I'm getting there on that. That's a slightly easier knit. I don't have to check stitch counts every single row because the shaping's much more traditional. So that one's moving along a little bit quicker. And again, though, I really would like to have that done no later than the 1st of May because I need to push it out to my tech editor. Dennis is going to test knit it for me. But I am looking for test knitters right now. So if you're interested, I have the 2 shawls and I have a pair of socks that'll be ready to push out to test knitting in the relatively near future. So if you're interested, please get in touch. I always like to have some new test knitters in my stable because, you know, sometimes other people that I normally use are working on another project, or they've got, you know, kids stuff or family stuff. So it's always great for me to have a list to be able to say, oh, hey, would you like to try this out? So the other things that are on the needles, which unfortunately I can't show you, I have my fall project. That's from the Woolen Rabbit Pearl sock yarn base. So I'm working on that. That's half finished. And then I also finished the first of the pair of the May self-striping socks for the shop. So all of those, I pretty much am going to have like 2 t-shirts, and the rest of the suitcase is going to be yarn and knitting projects to go back east. I mean, that's a slight exaggeration, but not quite. I'll have both the shawls and both of the other sock yarn projects with me. And I worked on this quite a bit yesterday, so I've made some good progress and wanted to kind of show you guys this, since, hey, it's something I can show you. This is my Drachenfels shawl, which I'm working on as part of the 2 Harry Potter knit-alongs. The one that Katie of Inside Number 23 is hosting through the end of April, as well as the one that Jilly at the Knitting Broomstick is hosting through the end of April. And so, and this shawl is big enough, I'm not sure I can get all of it in, but anyway, I finished the first section, that's to there. And then I've started the garter stitch section, and you can see the green, the darker green and orange, and then down here at the very bottom, I've just started the speckle dye and orange. That's, those stripes start where that cute little rabbit Project Keeper is hanging. Kind of hard to see with the light behind it, I think. It's not too bad. Anyway, I am, let's see, so I think I have a total of 24 rows. No, I've got 48 rows, excuse me, 48 rows to do, and excuse me, I finished 12. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this last striped section. That shows off the color better there, down at the bottom. So I have that, and then there's another section that's just that final color, and then the edging. So I'm making progress on it, and even at its current size, I mean, it's plenty big. It's basically my wingspan already. But you know, a fun, easy knit. This has kind of been my TV knitting. I think for those of you who tuned in last week, I had mentioned the fact that when I got back from Yarn Fest, I had a day, and then my husband took off on a business trip for a week, and so he got back really, really late Thursday night, and we're 2 hours from the airport. So he actually wound up staying down in Albuquerque overnight, and then I picked him up, and he's got a horrible cold. He knew he was going to have one. Pretty much several of the people he was meeting with were sick, and maybe 12 hours after he got home, he was like, yeah, I've got this. So I'm trying very hard for him to kind of stay separate and not get me sick. So he watched a lot of TV this weekend and kind of dozed in a chair and hung out with the dogs, and it was a quiet weekend then. And he's still not 100%, but anyway, fingers crossed that I have dodged that bullet. I'd rather not be sick. There's nothing worse than having to get on a plane when you're all plugged up and don't feel well and just really want to go crawl into bed. So that's everything that's on. Oh, no, I lied. One more set of things. I have been working on my Cozy Memories blanket-ish project. And so I had a couple of squares that I finished up last week that I wanted to share with you guys. And I even brought my notes because I'm keeping notes about what each of the different yarns is in, if I know it, for each square. So this one is one that my friend Patty gifted me in the bag that she brought me at Yarn Fest. So I don't know, she didn't label them. So it's sock yarn and it's black and gray, but beyond that, I don't know. This one is from Spun Right Round. It's on her Sumptuous 7525 sock base. And the colorway is called Distortion. It's a really fun speckle dye that I like a lot. I think that one's great. And then this week I've added another 4 blocks. This is from my Peonies pack. So it's on Caradwin sock. And it is the, it's sort of color number 3 in the progression. It's kind of a dark rose. That's probably pretty close. This is another one from my friend Patty's bag that she brought me. I don't have a colorway name or a yarn base, but I really like this one. This is kind of my kind of colors. I think it's it's kind of got a lilac-y blue purple and then kind of a bronzy green in it, but it reads almost as a solid. That color's pretty close right there. This colorway is from a swap pack of minis that I did, which I will show you guys coming up. This is, I know it's Hedgehog Fibers. Make sure I get the right base. It's their sock base and it's the Mutant colorway. Another speckle dye that I really liked. And then finally, this is one of the 2 minis that my friend Jenny sent me in our tea/yarn swap package. It's Miss Babs Tart, which is her superwash merino nylon, and I think it's tencel that's in it, in the color Blue Bonnets, which I had to do since it's Blue Bonnet season in Texas, and I missed the Dallas Festival this year since I was in Interweave. But I love those colors. Isn't that fun? So those are all for the mini scrap blanket that I'm working on. And so I probably won't work on those this week. I think I'd rather not drag those back and forth in my luggage. They're a great travel project, but at the same time, I would rather not lose my DPNs and wind up with lots of little bits and pieces everywhere. And it's not like I don't have enough to take with me, so all is good. So let me talk about the mini swap I did. This is not someone who I know personally, but Mary Beth is on Ravelry, and I have been batching up some sets of 10-gram minis and 5-gram minis of things so that I could do a swap at some point. And she had posted that she was looking for 10-gram minis, and I had enough to send her. It sounds like she's got a lot of minis because she was basically taking any comers. So she sent me a pack that a bag that had 10-gram minis in it, and they're gorgeous. There's lots of fun colors in here. Some Hedgehog Fibers. What else is in here? Let's see. Sweet Georgia. Sun Valley Fibers, which I don't know. 3 Irish Girls. Life in the Long Grass, which I had been looking forward to trying at some point. And that's a gorgeous colorway. Madeline Tosh. Yeah, so some really, really pretty colors. I love this one that's called Hummingbird. That's a Hedgehog Fibers colorway. So I have those to play with as well. And then I sent her a pack, and she had not worked with Desert Vista Dye Works self-striping, and I had several in there in the pack that I sent her. So I think she was happy with what she got. I hope she was anyway. So that's kind of new acquisitions, I suppose, in yarn. I mean, it's nothing I bought, but it definitely is new to me. So all good. And I want to, before I go on to the spinning portion, which I've got behind me, I wanted to just toss in a little sort of mini sewing themed thing. I decided that because I know for sure I'm not going to get to any socks for the Harry Potter knit-alongs, that I did want to do something else other than just my Drachenfels shawl. And so I did a little trolling on Spoonflower, and if you're not familiar with them, they're an online company that does they do fabrics, they print all their own fabrics, and they have amazing fandom themed fabrics as well as some other, I mean, just beautiful fabrics. And you can pick I think they have about 10 or so different fabric bases. Everything from canvas to just sort of basic Kona cotton. I've gotten several things from them. They're really, really gorgeous. You can search by color, you can search by theme, you can search by different types of motifs. They do ongoing design competitions, and if you have something that's like a logo, you can upload that and design your own fabric, which I think would be a really fun thing to do at some point, not today. But anyway, so I got myself a couple of fabrics to make smaller project bags with. For the Harry Potter knit along that's going on in April, I talked about those too. And then Jilly is of the Knitting Broomstick is also hosting a Jane Austen along next month, so in May. So I got two fabrics to do an exterior and an interior lined bag. So the first one is the Harry Potter themed one, and I loved this one. It's got all kinds of great little symbols on it. It's got Hogwarts, it's got Hagrid's umbrella, and of course the Nimbus 2000. So that's going to be the outside fabric. And then the interior fabric is a whole bunch of quotes from the books. So I thought those would be really, really fun together. So that's going to be one project bag that I do for myself. And then the next one, which is Jane Austen themed, I found these, and they aren't specifically Jane Austen oriented. I know there's some that have figures dancing, or I love Mr. Darcy, or that kind of thing. But I just love these prints. I thought that they were so soft and spring-like, and and to me they were very sort of antique looking. So this is going to be the outside fabric. It's like Climbing Roses. I think it's very William Morris looking, and I love his things with the climbing roses and the rose hips there. And then I found this very sweet little fabric that I thought would be great for the lining. That's just, it's a pale green stripe. Reminds me of kind of a Regency period day dress. And it's got just little butterflies scattered on it. So here are those two together. I thought that would be fun. And I'm waiting on some interfacing. This was actually something I wanted to work on this weekend when I had a little time, but that didn't happen. Maybe this week, we'll see. I've got some custom order dyeing to get through. And then the last fabric that I picked up, I wanted to show you, was not from Spoonflower, but I was trolling through the world of Etsy, like you do. And you know how they send you the thing that says products we think you might like. That is a dangerous thing to look in. But I found this fabric, and I'm normally not someone who likes orange, but I had to get this because it's got horses and girls riding horses on it. I just totally fell in love with that. I love that so much. I had to get that. And I got a very pale lining that's got these kinds of flowers on it, white with just a little bit of pink, similar to what you see there. You can see those a little closer there. I just love the way she's hugging that horse's neck. And this kind of segues me into a question that I had from a listener who was asking me about my horses, and I won't spend a ton of time on this because if you've met me in person and you get me talking about horses, you know that that's like a 6-hour conversation. So I won't make you listen to that, but I did want to share a couple of photos that I had of my two boys that were kind of my primary adult riding horses. The first of these is my boy Digger. I got him as a youngster. He was only 3, and he was one of a pair of twins, which is very rare in the horse world that everybody survives, that the mom and the babies survive, but they all survived. He was the smaller twin. His sister was much leggier than he was. And they had to bottle feed him, and as a result, he had no boundaries at all. He thought he was like a Pomeranian and was, 6 pounds as opposed to 850. And he was the kind of horse that either you loved him because he was so smart and kind of quirky, or he made you insane. luckily I found him very engaging and interesting, but training him was a task. And he was not a horse who liked to transfer his information. He did not suffer fools well, and he is not the kind of horse that could have had multiple riders or multiple owners or be a lesson horse. That was not going to be suited for him. He needed to have one-on-one with the person that was his rider, and he needed to respect you and think that you were smarter than him, which was not always the case, but I at least fooled him into thinking that that was. So anyway, this is us. I think he was 5 this year. This is just after he turned 5. He was difficult, but at the same time, if I ever needed a horse that I thought would have been smart enough to save my life and take care of me, it was this boy. When I got into endurance, for what it's worth, he is a Missouri Foxtrotter, and they have beautiful, beautiful, easy to ride gaits, but not great metabolics to do endurance with. I decided, because he was so unhappy when I got my second horse, that he was no longer horse number 1, that I needed to find him someplace where he could be the only horse and be the primary horse-rider relationship. And so a friend of mine who was a retired endurance rider, but I knew would not take any of his crap, fell in love with him, and she was perfect size for him because he's a fairly small little guy. And she lives down in Pie Town, New Mexico, and she adores him. He annoys her, but she adores him. They ride probably 5 or 6 days a week. She moves cows with him. She mends fences on him. She takes him on trail rides. She does all kinds of stuff with him, and that's exactly what his brain needs. He needs to be a horse who has a ton of different jobs to do, or else he'll do stuff like take your electric fence battery apart overnight. My other 2 pictures, hang on because they're on the floor, was my other horse, Ben, who was an Arabian out of Polish lines. His father, grandfather, his father's father, is the horse that played the Black Stallion. Ben, however, looked exactly like his mama. A little more white. He had a white blaze, but same compact little body. He was not a tall, leggy horse at all. And the gal that I bought him from met the 2 of us at a ride later on, about a year after I'd had him. I got him when he was 5, 6, almost 6. She said, it's a good thing that you and Ben found each other, because you're the only human he has ever met who is more stubborn than he is. Total truth. I agree with that. This is our first ride together. We rode in Moab. There was an endurance ride in Moab. This was maybe 2 weeks after I had gotten him, and about 10 days after I got him, we had a really rainy day, and I didn't know him very well, and he didn't know me, and I was in his stall, and he spooked at something and went tearing out, and I stepped right into his way, not knowing whether or not he would run me down. My other horses never would have hit me, and he probably wouldn't have either, except I stepped in his way, and I wound up with a broken tailbone. So this was not a fun ride, which I think shows I'm really not sitting in my saddle. He chugged along. He had a good day. I did not. My friend that I rode with, by the time we were, I don't know, 20 miles into it, I said, you got to ride in front of me. I can't sit down. I have no brakes. Things improved after that. He was my go-to boy. We had so many good rides together. He loved his job. He absolutely adored it. He and I are very similar in the sense that we were both all about do your homework before you get dessert. We were both like, get the hard stuff out of the way, and then you can relax and have fun. And that's how I'm wired too. And he was so wonderful to go out and do stuff with. He loved to just go on training rides, and he didn't care if we rode the same trail every day. He went out and did it because that was his job. He was very focused on that. This is one of the other rides we did the first year that I had him. It's Antelope Island in the Great Salt Lake. There's an island out there, and I'm 99% sure he is looking at one of the bison, the buffalo herd that's out there. We ran into several of the cranky males. This ride we had a blast on. We had a great time. He and I rode by ourselves all day, and just beautiful weather, everything about it. So anyway, there's a little sidebar in case you wanted to know about my horse Boys. Those were my two primary riding horses, and we had my husband's horse and our two kind of rescue rehab horses, but are currently horseless. Sidebar. Let's talk about spinning. I have not plied it yet, but I am done my two sets of singles. This was the March Wooly Wonka Fibers Club fiber. That's 80% merino and 20% bamboo. It's a custom blended roving that I got, which I think came out really spring-like. Lots of little pops of kind of iris purple and a little bit of pale pink and some yellow in there. So this is a total of 5 ounces. I spun those 2.5 ounces on each bobbin. So these will get plied together for a 2-ply. And I spun it fairly thinly because I really think this would be beautiful as a shawl. There's the single. So I wanted something kind of light fingering weight, and I think this is pretty close. So my plan today is to get this plied up, or at least get started on it. I think I can get fairly close. I'm not going to take any spinning with me to the East Coast. So once I get this plied, I'll pick something else to start on the wheel. I haven't decided what that is yet, but I think it's going to be from my Spin the Bin project. And then when I get back, I'll have the April Wooly Wonka Fibers Club to spin, because that will ship Friday, or well, actually Thursday, probably on my way out of town to the airport. So I wanted to talk about some acquisitions. 2 of my Spinning Fiber Club packages came this week, and I also have a yarn to share with you guys. Do you remember last week I talked about that great swap package that I got from Jennie? Well, one of the things that we did was you know, pick up yarns that we loved. I sent her, one of the yarns that I sent her is from another local dyer in New Mexico, pretty local. She's in Albuquerque, and that's my friend Dag, who is Zia Wools, and she's on Etsy. So I bought Jennie a skein of this yarn, and I loved the colorway so much, and Dag had 2 in her shop that I got one for me. I don't do that very often, but anyway. This is her Sugarloaf. It's a light fingering weight. It's superwash merino, and it is 560 yards, which is, I think, great yardage. It's 4 ounces, and the colorway is Zombie Bride. And it's gorgeous, pinks, purples. There's a little bit of kind of a soft gray in there. I just love this colorway, so I kept one for myself. So Jennie, when you're ready to make something, you and I can be matchy-matchy twins. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it, but probably a shawl, since it's a little soft. It's it's 2 plies. And it doesn't have any nylon in it, so I think it is better suited for something like a shawl and not socks. And I mean, honestly, with 560 yards, I'd be much more tempted to make a shawl with it and not waste. I usually only use about 365, maybe 375 yards to knit a pair of socks for myself, and there's a ton of yardage left in that then. So I think that that's going to be my plan for that particular skein, as a shawl. To be determined. Sorry for the crinkling. I like to keep stuff in plastic so the cat doesn't wander off with it. So this is my April top of the month club from Three Waters Farm. This is the last of the braids I'll be getting that's just plain wool. The next 3 months I've signed up for the club again, and it'll be a wool luxury blend, so wool and silk or tencel or something like that. So the colorway is Storm Cloud Over Flowers, and the fiber base is on Targhee, which I love. Super, super bouncy, and the colors are so great. Let's see if I can get these so you guys can see the kind of the whole thing. Really pretty. There's some teal, some dark gray, and then this side has little pops of lime green, and there's some plum, some lighter pink. It's got a little piece of tape on it from who knows what. So really pretty. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet. I really like the colors. I'm thinking about trying Targhee for socks, which I haven't done before, although it's not superwash. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that. This one will marinate a while. Like I said in the last episode, I'm going to try really hard to work on some of my spin the bin projects and not spin the new lovelies, because that's always something that I want to do when they show up at the house. So that'll marinate for a while, but that's okay. So then I also got my March Club fiber from Ocean Wind Knits. Again, February, March, and April from Ocean Wind is going to be something that's kind of space time travel themed. And so this month it's Doctor Who themed. The colorway is It's Bigger on the Inside. There's the tag. And make sure I have it right side up. The inspiration photo, or inspiration picture, I should say. It's not a photo. That would be awesome, right? Just actually inside the TARDIS. And so the colorway is, oh, sorry, It's Bigger on the Inside. The fiber base is straight BFL. One of my favorites. And it's really pretty. It's got some rusts, kind of a bluish gray, a little bit of greens, kind of some soft sagey greens. And I really like the fact that even though it's Doctor Who themed, and I love that TARDIS blue, and I probably have some projects upcoming that I will make with that colorway, that she didn't go with the obvious. So I love that, Lori, that you picked something that was not maybe typical or what people would immediately think of. So I may save this and spin it up for Jilly's Doctor Who month, which I think is June, for her fandom alongs that she's doing every month on the Knitting Broomstick. I'll ponder it, but I really like this colorway, and I think it would be fun in lots of different projects. I think BFL is such a great kind of all-around fiber that you can use for many different things. So also going into stash to percolate and marinate for a little while. We'll see, but that may be that may wind up getting spun in June, just simply because it's goes with the Doctor Who theme. Let me look at my notes, make sure I covered everything today. Again, I'll put all the links to the knit-alongs that I'm either hosting or participating in. Don't forget, we've got the shawl knit-along happening that I'm co-hosting with Laura of At the Corner of Knit and Tea that runs through the end of May, so you've got plenty of time. I did not put that shawl that I'm knitting specifically for that knit-along on the needles this week. I was going to, and I decided that I needed to get at least one, if not two, of the shawls I've currently got going on the needles finished. I also neglected to mention that the make-along that I'm doing as part of Tiny Paper Fox's make-along through mid-May, I think it's the 15th, which is the gray cardigan. It's the heathered pattern. I did not bring that to show you guys because there's been no progress on it. I knit 2 rows. I have 8 more to do to get it long enough to actually be deep enough at the armpits. And I've decided to also put that garment on hold until I get some other things knit. I don't do well with that many works in progress happening. I need to have some closure and completion, and one of the ways I can do that is if I just focus on some projects. So all that said, I think that's it for this week. I will not be podcasting next Monday because I will be hanging out with my folks, visiting in Richmond. And I get back late on Wednesday, and I know that I'll probably need some time to decompress, unpack, get all that together. So I won't bother podcasting next week. The next podcast will be Monday, the 25th of April. So until then, I hope you guys have a great couple of weeks. Enjoy whatever projects you're working on, and hopefully enjoy some wonderful spring weather, or at least nice weather in whatever part of the world you are in. I appreciate, again, you tuning in to spend some time with me, and I will talk to you guys when I'm back from the East Coast. Take care.